On a little bit of a rundown off to the side. All right, welcome in everybody. We're here with Jer. We've got Michael coming in, so welcome everybody. I think Chris was here. Maybe he took off, but I'm going to read your comment out loud. And you know what, Jer? I'm going live with Ollie tomorrow.
Oh, great.
Ollie Ward. So if you
Good
can,
guy.
I don't know if you don't want to come back to back, but I'm going to go one-on-one with Ollie, or you're
Yeah,
welcome to
do.
come, or Maynard. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah,
But yeah,
see what goes.
that just dropped, and I love Ollie because it's an interesting guy, Ipswich guy. He's got a really good, to me, he has the best watch-alongs because he's got such a good voice.
He does.
Just he's got a good just English radio voice. It sounds like to me, and
Yeah.
then so we'll see. I love to pick
Ollie's a
Ollie's brain, and he's measured too. He's a
good
measured
guy.
kid.
Yeah, he's very balanced and he's a good bloke. And I like Ollie's stuff because I would watch a bit of Ollie before I start doing YouTube stuff. And
Yeah.
I always thought Ollie would find the kind of the good and the bad. Sometimes he would kind
Mhm.
of cheer you up a little bit. He wasn't always annoyed at stuff, but he's a good guy, very good guy.
Yeah. He's similar to you, Gier, because he came into Leeds for his dad. So,
We all owe our parents, don't we?
yeah, I don't know why I just chose it. I chose this. Well, what is it?
Yeah, you brought this on yourself, mate.
Yeah. The suffering makes you know that you're alive or something? Doesn't the Buddhists say that?
Is that what they say? They must
They
be Leeds
say
fans as
something
well.
like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
suffering, lean into the sufferings because you know you're alive or something. So anyways, we all love Leeds. Let's kick it off with Chris. I like this game for this comment for the Palace game after they went up 1-0. I think they thought job done. Premier League safety and the deck of chairs came out. So my feeling on this is yes, we've clearly seen a pattern, but also Gier, and I hate to say it's like I start to say this and it's like I don't want to be the Premier League snob or Premier League, Premier League proven, I think is something that's I mean, take it with salt, as you always say. I think you should have a salt meter when you have like this is Gier's four pinches of salt with this one. Yeah, because
I'm gonna write that down.
But yeah, so a lot of the guys just haven't been in the league this year, and you all the new guys. You look at Brendan Aronson from Salzburg, Weston McKennie from Juve,
Chris Salzburg as well.
Yep, and then Rocco, who was from Bayern. Those leagues aren't as competitive, so I think there is a feeling, and they were at the top leagues or the top teams in those leagues. There's a feeling where they might be leaning off the gas, and we've seen this all year. But let's put a bow. That's the first item on this list, and we'll jump whenever Michael comes in. We'll jump in and get his thoughts as well. But what were your thoughts on the Palace game? And I said right before here, I wanted to commend you for going live right after the game because no one expected that. No one expected us to get, and it was. I think it was a historic loss at home. So, anyways,
yeah, I did see. I had a VIP trip that I brought my dad away. The first time my dad was sick, I brought him to Leeds, and we did a VIP trip, and we did the corporate thing, we got the box and the whole lot, and did it. But I never done it once because I'm not made of money and it's quite expensive. But we did it and had a great day. However, we saw Leeds get absolutely pounded at home by Bolton. At the time, I think it was 4-1. It could have been 4-5-1. I think I can't remember back that far. It's like 2013 maybe. But it was a very heavy defeat, and this is the heaviest defeat that I can remember Leeds taking at a home against a side that's not a Man City or a Scum or an Arsenal. It's, you think about it like a win and we go above Palace. That's how close we are in the table to each other, and you just think you're 1-0 up, manage the game correctly, and then I've been saying it for a couple of weeks since Max Vober's gone out of the team. The calmness in the back line has started. Every game, it's just slightly worse. Every game, slightly more panicky. People making decisions they wouldn't normally make. Like just before Rocket makes the tackle for the foul, Firpo does the exact same thing and picks up a yellow card, which hamstrings him for the remainder of the game. He had Elise in his pocket, and then out of nowhere, it's a case of, well, you can't tackle Elise now, so now Elise has license to run at you. You've got a problem. Or Eze as well. And then you see Rocket doing the same thing. You're just going, someone just needs to put a hand on people's shoulders here and go, calm down, just settle, calm down, see the game out till the half, get behind the ball. And they didn't do it. And then whatever happened at the start of the second half, whether we just got shell shocked or whether they just decided let's do what every other team has done and let's target Ayling. Let's just target diagonal balls over Ayling's head or direct balls down the channel. And we just didn't deal with it. And I mean, Ayling's been dug out by a lot of people for his performance, but I saw one clip of the goal, the one where AU gets above Ayling for the header and scores. And people are criticising Ayling, and I didn't notice, but somebody else pointed out and goes, have a look at Firpo in the clip. And Firpo goes wandering into the middle of the defence, leaves the left side defence completely free for two Crystal Palace players. When the ball goes over there, it's not Firpo that's over there. It's one of the other players that's to come across and try and block the cross. Doesn't. Gets put in and they score. And you're thinking, where was Firpo going? Like, if he holds his shape, again, that calmness piece that I think Max Vober would be screaming at him, get back here beside me. Where are you going? And that kind of just, that epitomized the second half. People doing things they shouldn't have been doing. People in positions they shouldn't be in. Bad mistake. Lack of an ability to tackle and a lack of an ability to defend 1v1. They ran through 3 or 4 of us at times. There was ball. I mean, the tap in was the most infuriating. That nobody really goes to press the ball, and then when they do, 2 of them do, and the ball dribbles through into a Palace player who's on the penalty spot free. Completely Marcus Christensen's keeping everyone on side. Yeah, and it's a tap in. I just thought, if ever a goal epitomized an entire second half performance, it was that one. But to see the collapse. And I think that's the one thing that worried me the most. I was on Joe's show during the week and he was saying, do you think Leeds go down? And I said, I don't know. I don't know anymore. I don't think we're safe anymore. And he said, he was kind of surprised at my reaction. He's like, well, based on what? And I was like, just that collapse. It's a huge collapse. It's a massive collapse. And I wonder, is there the character in the team to pick themselves back up from this? And going back to the point that you made at the start of this, there's so many players who aren't used to this division. There's so many players who are still, like, it takes a year, 18 months to really get a handle in the Premier League when you've been at a lesser division. And for me, I don't know if they can bounce back from this. They have to. And my fear is, without Max Vober, we go into a Liverpool game and we could potentially get another drubbing at home, because as bad as Liverpool have been this season, they still have a big performance in their locker. And as good as we've been at points this season, we've got a really bad performance in our locker as well. So it's, depends on what version of Liverpool turn up and can Leeds bounce back from this. But need to do better for Fulham, Bournemouth, and Leicester. They're your entire season.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're basically talking about leadership, Jer, and you've been on a football pitch. You've been in games. You played it at a higher level than I have. You coach. The 2 leaders, on-field leaders, obviously Liam Cooper's the club captain, not in the weeds, so to speak now. Yeah. Right now with game time, he's not getting a lot of playing time, and he's an older player, and that's fair. What do you do? Because the captain on the pitch right now, I don't know if you've ever been in a situation coaching or a teammate of somebody where the captain is suffering, to me, clearly suffering on the pitch. Do you, I don't think you risk a lot taking an armband off someone. I'm not saying maybe that's the move, but what can you do in that situation to the guy that's supposed to be kind of the steady hand, that communication on the back line? What can you do in this situation when you're a Javi? And have you ever been in this situation where you got the kind of the guy that's wearing the armband that's struggling so much on the pitch?
I've played for some very bad captains, people that were chosen to be captains for the wrong reason. I've also been a coach at teams where managers have picked captains that I didn't agree with, because sometimes managers put captains' armbands on players that can be a bit problematic, but they think that the captain's armband will mature them and help them step up. And usually what it causes is more problems. Bill's been around Leeds long enough. He's been a leader at Leeds long enough, to be able to handle these kind of games. He's had them before. He's experienced. The problem with Bill is he's just going through a really bad run of form. I don't think he's finished. I think Michael Normanson said it, or Dan Moylan said it on Square Ball about he's not that old. Like, he hasn't just got really old in the last 3 months, because he was very good against Scum twice. Very good against them. you don't become a bad player overnight, and there's the usual, I'm going to say, the usual drama, calling for drama to play for Leeds, which I always think is just nonsense because somebody else shared a video today of the one.
Yeah, I saw that tweet. I saw it is.
He's
It's
just
always
as
like,
bad. Like, he's just as bad.
well, I mean, it's a huge risk. It's a huge risk. And everybody said, well, Cody Drama, come on. Can he be the, but it's
Yeah.
like, would he be the savior too? Like,
No.
would he really be, a lockdown? Well, he's better than what we've got. You just don't know that because
Yeah,
it's,
that's the thing. I mean, Jesse Marsh didn't think so, and Marcelo Bielsa didn't think so. And whatever way you rate Jesse Marsh, we can all pretty much agree that we agreed that 99% of everything that Bielsa did or tried to do or was hoping to do at Leeds. But we've got lots of couch supporters, me included, as a couch supporter. But you've got these people that just go, oh, well, he must be better than what's there. Like, well, is he though? Because two managers haven't thought so. He dirtied his bib with Leeds when he basically told Bielsa he wasn't going to sit on the bench. I mean, Drama thinks he's a better player than potentially he is. He's decent in the championship. And I say decent because look at that clip of every 1v1 he's faced this year. He's been done quite a lot. And he's been done for pace. So he's not going to get any faster as he gets older. Like, he's only going to get more mature. But no is the answer for me. I don't think Cody Drama. There's a lot of Leeds fans don't seem to have a problem with having players with bad attitudes in their team. In fact, some of them seem to actually like it. Likes of when Noah Lang was linked with Leeds, and his history is very well documented with how much of a problem he is in the dressing room. People are like, doesn't matter, get him in. You look at Willie Gnonto's attitude in recent weeks of shaking his head and complaining about things, and I didn't like at all what I saw from him at the weekend when he kicked the player off the ball, like not even slightly off the ball. The ball was well gone. Kicks a player in the shin to pick up a yellow card, just petulant stuff. And then 20 seconds later, he's dragging out of a guy's jersey. And you're like, letter of the law, that's a second yellow card and you should be sent off. And you're going, grow up a little bit here. But then people are saying, nope, no issue with it at all. Let him do it. And you're going, no, like, you've got to have a good attitude. You've got to have people in the dressing room who are pushing the right way. And, you need leadership in the team, as you've said. And Ayling gives you leadership. There's other people that don't. And Christensen, for me, probably should replace Ayling at this stage. But in the middle of a game when it's not going well, I'd still take him off. I would still have replaced him with Christensen because you could have done it on 60 minutes and made it look like just freshening things up, and then the armband goes to somebody else, But I was surprised that Cooper wasn't brought in. I thought the obvious change was Stroke for Cooper at one point, and then maybe Christensen, just to change the backline a little bit. But that didn't happen either. It was Christensen brought on left back, which was a strange decision.
Yeah, so this comes back to me to...
Sorry, Alex, really sorry. Someone's just said in the chat, Drama is ripping up the championship. No, he's not. No, he's not. Go look at Twitter and go look at the clips that have been put up. He's not ripping it up in the championship. He's playing reasonably well for Luton Town. That's where he is, against championship level wingers in a division that they're not expected to do much. Ripping it up is not what he is doing in the championship. If you are going off, highlights of matches or clips that are on YouTube, go watch the games. The same thing was said about Charlie Creswell at the start of the season for Millwall. He was said he's absolutely destroying things in the championship. He's doing great in the championship. Every Millwall fan I spoke to said he wasn't. He was struggling. He was scoring goals, but he wasn't defending, and in fact, he had cost them goals. Second half of the season, Creswell's turned out some amazing performances. Cody Drama is not ripping anything up in the championship. He's doing pretty well in a decent team. That's what he's doing. So
right,
it's this overreaction again of people who think, oh, well, he's the solution to our problems. He's doing great in championship. Based on what? A couple of tweets from Graham Smith, who said Cody Drama gets another 90 minutes and he's got 2 man of the match awards. Great. In the championship. So there has to be some level here.
These are the best wingers in the world. They're the best wingers in the world.
First of all, I'm watching them. So you've watched every 90 minutes of it. I doubt it. I really doubt it. I don't believe you. I just don't believe you. I don't believe it. Go watch the clip on Twitter of every single 1v1 that Cody Drama has faced this season. He has been burned on nearly all of them. So go check that out and tell me he's better than Luke Ayling, because they're nearly identical to situations. The same group that put the tweet out about every 1v1 that Luke Ayling has faced this season, put the other one out of Cody Drama for balance. They're pretty much the same, except one's doing it in the Premier League and one's doing it in the Championship. So under Bielsa, he got his chance and Martinelli destroyed him. Absolutely. Destroyed him to the point where he didn't go onto the bench. He went back to the under-21 team. That's how far back he went after that game. So, and then Jesse Marsh came in, talked about, everyone was asking about Coach Drama. Jesse Marsh says, yeah, we'll have a look. Didn't get into the team. Didn't get in. So we're here talking on a podcast. There's people in the chat on a YouTube channel. we're a championship club. We're a championship club. You've just been a smart arse now. We're not a championship club. We're currently the Premier League.
I'm
So
not even
I'd
looking at it
argue all
right
day.
now.
But the point of this is these managers are coaching these players every single day of the week. They see who's good, they see who's bad, they know the pecking order base and the qualities that these players bring to the game. And Cody Drama under two managers was third choice right back. And that's two of them, one being the best manager that the club have had in the modern history. He didn't rate him.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree. I just don't agree that if we're here sitting here going like that how old is he? Say 18, 19? I mean, he's a young kid.
He's that young. He's not that young, I don't think. He's probably 20 or 21.
And it's just like if we're dependent on a U21 player to have our problem, to save ourselves at right back, it's just we're poor at squad building. So it's like the question is good. I mean, it's not. I do think that there's no such thing as a stupid question, and I would probably think of the same thing, and I almost do. The other thing about this is a small, tiny little eeny beanie nothing, but he got nutmegged by Jesse Marsh in practice.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember that, but yeah, it was Cody Drama got nutmegged because Jesse liked to do some of the drills.
Yeah.
Anyways, but
coming from Michael Brown in the chat there, and he's dead right. Drama played away to Brentford the 5-2 defeat and was subbed at halftime. No, it wasn't halftime. Subbed off in the match. Sorry, I'm reading the comment. Subbed off that match.
And look, his accolade at Cardiff, right? Player of the season.
We voted for that. Let's be honest, Alex. That was an open.
That could be us. But you know what else it was? It was a recruiting tactic. They wanted to make him a permanent transfer. Yeah. So let's also pump the brakes to be like, okay, he played half of a season at Cardiff. Was he really the player of the season? Yeah, he had some good moments. I'm sure he was good.
He was good.
And he's probably better than some of their options. But
I'm not saying he's a bad player. I just don't think he's a great player.
Leaf Davis. I mean, he's in League One right now. He's killing it. I'm sure they're saying he's the second coming of whatever. But anyways, let's I will say that so this switches me to the tactics. And I clipped up a thing and I saw that you liked it here, but I think it's the right thing. It's like we've had multiple managers. You can go back to Scoobs now.
Yeah.
For me. And even though Scoobs was basically doing Marsh tactics, but we've tried to close up shop. And you said this early. I think you even said this before the World Cup. We can either go all out, guns blazing, try to get in a track meet, which is suicide, but we can try to do it, or we can close up shop, hang on, a la Newcastle, a la, I think Wolves, a la a couple other games where we've tried to kind of see out results. Those are our options, but we just can't open ourselves up. The defenders are not good in 1v1 situations. And even if they are, we can clip up Luke Ayling for the past month in some really good moments that he's had one-on-one. But
in general,
against the best wingers in the world, it's just you're out on an island for that long, and he's not 30, he's not 29. And look, all those Bielsa players, Calvin Phillips injured, ruined it. The following season, he was ruined. Some of the transfers they've gone to, I love Alioski. Alioski's gone to Saudi Arabia. Love Click. I mean, he's lost a couple steps. He's in the MLS. He's smashing it. I guess he's the most chances created, but he's not what he was. Bielsa ball, aka murder ball at times, right? That was the practice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's not a lot of tread on those guys' tires. Luke Ayling was in that team.
So was Coops.
He's Coops. I mean, these guys, Dallas, Forshaw, these guys are on the physio room. Yeah. So anyway, I guess moving forward. So to me, the tactics, Javi got the tactics wrong, and that's okay. That's all right. I think it got so messed up in the second half that the players were doing their own thing.
It looked
at
like
times, right?
They were Jesse Marsh isms about the second half.
Yeah, and there was a time where it was just the two center backs were completely isolated. They didn't have a fullback back there with them. Both Ayling and Firpo were just marching on, doing whatever they were doing. Mm. So, yeah, I mean, what do you think? Do you change your view of Javi post this game, post this result, or are you're still open to kind of continuing with him in the Premier League? What do you need to see from him? Obviously, if we stay up 17th, like by a couple of points, or do you want to see kind of 16, 15, 14 kind of view in order to kind of get him a contract?
I think keeping us up is the most important thing. And I agree with what Stu Nick is saying in the chat there as well. We're not panicking. It was one result, and that's the key thing to remember here. It's one game. If you look at the performances under Javi and the rest of the games, even the ones we lost, they were still good performances. They were still, I think the tactics have been relatively sound for most games. I think the players, and again, I agree with what he's saying there. 3 games in 8 days versus a team that had a break. Maybe things just caught up on them a little bit. But I think Javi has a plan going into games. I think the times when it hasn't worked are when a player has gone off script. And that's the problem. I mean, you go back to the Arsenal game, the 4-3-3 into a 6-1-3 was kind of working pretty well until Luke Ayling gives away a penalty, which is an individual error. You look at the Crystal Palace game, tactics are working quite well. We're 1-0 up, pretty comfortable. Palace get back into the game a little bit, but I thought we dropped off. I just thought we sat back. And I think that's a player decision stuff, to try and hold it a bit. And then it's an individual error that gives away a free kick. And then there's an individual error for second goal, an individual error for third goal. They're not systematic problems. They're not system problems. They're individual players that get it wrong and go off script or make a mistake. And that happens. And some games it'll happen more than others. And they always say you can always get away with carrying 1 or 2 players. And where last week you had so many Leeds players who had their best game in a Leeds shirt against Forest, you had so many games had their worst game in a Leeds shirt against Palace in 40. And it's not even the game. It's only 45 minutes. First half, I thought we were quite well. And I think we maybe, and what I mean when I said about Jesse Marschisms coming in, I thought we kind of hamstrung ourselves at moments in the game as well. Like Jack Harrison and Sinistera did really, really well against Forest when they were let get one-on-one with the fullback. And we didn't get the ball to Sinistera at all in the first half against Palace. We barely saw him in the game. And every time we passed the ball to Jack Harrison, Luke Ayling and Brendan Aronson ran into the space that he had. So what you ended up with then was Jack in this really overly confined area, swamped, and no space to expose the defender one-on-one. I don't think they were Javi's systems. I think that they were decisions made by the players in those moments, and it creeped back in throughout the game. And I think if you look at Javi's record, he's got 3 wins already. Jesse had 4 wins all season. So, if you've beaten Palace, he's level with Jesse after a couple of weeks. So, yeah, for me, I don't think it's Javi that's the issue. I really don't think he's done a decent enough job.
Yeah, so the main concern for you is the possibility of like a rift in the dressing room when they're not listening to the coach that much, when they're that out of shape, like something else is awry possibly. And it's the first time. What was shocking about Saturday, and it looks like Michael's here, the most shocking thing was just the fact, hey Michael.
Hey Mike.
We're just kind of putting a bow on Saturday or Sunday, sorry. The most shocking thing was the fact that we were just that out of shape. Guys seemed to be doing whatever they wanted. And this was a team that I thought prior to that match was resilient, was a team that's structured, that, you know what, we gone down, but we'll come back, we'll tie it, we'll win. That kind of like resilience. I thought there was a little bit of, and Jesse was very corny. Jesse is very corny. Like, this team never stops fighting, all this stuff. But Javi would say kind of the same thing, that there is a lot of that. And we even talked last week about how much they seem to really genuinely like each other.
Yeah.
So that's what was so shocking about that game. Not only were we kind of getting dismantled, but even in Bielsa games when we were getting dismantled, the team was still putting in maximum amount of effort, running for each other. It just, they didn't have it in the tank or whatever. This was, guys, what are you doing? So let's just get Michael and stuck in. What did you think about everything that I just said, Michael? I was waffling there for a little bit, but what was the most shocking thing about that game?
Yeah, I've just caught the last part, like, since I've jumped in, because I was pulled into an urgent work meeting. So sorry that I'm popping in late here, guys.
You missed my Cody drama rant. How could you?
Unfortunately, I have to go back and watch it. Yeah, unfortunately. So for me, I mean, I always want to look at something and say, was there something structural? Was there something with the way we were set up? Was it a tactical thing? Was it something that perhaps they changed at halftime, or something that maybe we changed after we went a goal up? And I think there are a few things there that happened, and I don't know how much of this ground you've covered, so I apologize to everyone if I'm being repetitive. There are a few things there. After we scored, we did something that we've done a lot, which is sort of go back into our shell and we drop back that extra 10 yards and we start defending more. And I think we let them into it. It doesn't help that we gave up a really stupid foul at the edge of the box. Like it's just stuff like that drives me nuts. Like, you're getting close to the end of the half, don't foul. So, Mark Rocca's got a bit to answer for there. I think Melier didn't cover himself in glory necessarily either. I don't want to just pin it on those guys. That was just one thing that happened. There's still a whole half of football to go, and we absolutely collapsed. The thing that was really surprising to me was that, quite apart from there being a structural or tactical thing, and I don't think a lot actually changed in the way that they set up, other than they decided to run at us more. Yeah. They get the ball and they would run at us more. And maybe that is a change, but you would expect professional footballers to be able to cope with that, the one-on-one duels, and they didn't. They just absolutely collapsed. Players like Luke Ayling and Mark Rocca and like all these guys that you'd expect to be intervening in key areas in midfield or out on the wings or whatever, they were just getting done repeatedly. They just continually lost their individual battles. Why? I have no idea. Did they get into their heads? Was it a psychological thing? I mean, Javi sort of said maybe it was a psychological thing, giving up, like battering them so much during the first half and then going in with a draw at the last minute like that. Did it get into their heads? Maybe, but it just seemed like a complete and total confidence loss that led to a head loss, that led to more confidence loss. And by the end, it didn't even look like they were trying, which it speaks to what you were just saying, Alex, which is, it was a team that was sort of used to, fighting right until the very end, fighting for each other. And you look at Crystal Palace's fifth goal, and it's just like, what does everyone do? Everyone's just ball watching. All you're doing is standing around and ball watching. So it feels to me like maybe it was a couple of things that came together, but by the end, it really was just a head loss. And I would expect that kind of a thing is maybe a one-off. I don't know if the pressure got to them or whatever, but to me, it was really down, and I don't like to blame individual errors. Like I said, I do always try to find structural reasons for this, but I think there's a lot of individuals that need to be able to account in this particular case. Yeah.
So
there's my rant.
If it's a one-off or if it's a reevaluation, you said early, Gier, when Javi first took the job, that he's going to learn more about his players every game. Now, do you change tactics? I think, Gier, you lean towards yes.
I do, based on who's up next.
Yeah,
we can't play like that against Liverpool. We get destroyed. We just can't. I think we'll see something very similar to Arsenal or very similar to the Brighton game, where it's sit in a bit more, be compact, and then try and catch them on a break.
Yep.
And Liverpool are susceptible to caught in the counter. I think the areas of concern for Leeds will be the front three, and not the players necessarily, but the system that they play with the wide players tucked in but deeper. So you'll have the likes of Firpo and Ayling, if they're playing, being ran at from a much deeper part of the pitch, inwards into the space in the middle. So Rocket and McKennie, that partnership needs to be able to pivot, drop in and just cut that angle
drop back. We need to be able to, especially if Ayling or Firpo get caught up like further up the field. Both of them have a tendency to dive in and then get done. So they'll go to ground or they'll get stuck in. And if someone gets by them, they're cooked, because then they have to turn around and try to catch up. And neither of them are particularly that pacey. So Firpo perhaps more than Ayling, but we're going to need Rock. I agree completely. Rocca and McKennie are going to have to be able to drop back into that back line and almost create that sort of belt. Right.
Yeah.
And we have to watch with their front three as well. Like we've the way that they're set up, we have to watch the edge of the box, third man. Like we've got to watch those, because we've been done by those so many times as well. I mean, under Marsh, it was always sort of the back post cross, right? But we keep getting nailed by guys at the edge of the box as well. So that's the other thing we really have to watch for. And again, that's Rocca and McKennie. They've got to be covering that space. Like
the Granit Xhaka run, where he kind of ghosted into the midfield, and then Odegaard. What a pass.
I call it the old Lee Bowyer run. where it was the last midfielder arriving late in the box,
Yep.
and then it was nobody marking him.
Yeah.
Adams got caught time after. They'd run to the end line, pull it back to the edge of the box, midfielder attacking the ball, gets a strike away and scores. And Adams really struggled with that the first half of the season. I guess he got caught a few times on it.
He gets caught ball. That's one of the weaknesses of Tyler Adams. He gets caught ball watching with that late breaking midfielder run to the edge of the box. It's happened over and over and over again. That's one area he needs, I think, better awareness in those situations. I don't know if he's staying out a little bit further, sort of 10 yards, 15 yards out from the box, hoping that he can be an out ball, or what it is that he's hoping for. But yeah, he's often there, and then someone blows by him and he's completely oblivious. And now all of a sudden he's here and they're at the edge of our box, and he's watching.
And we did this a couple of times. The Spurs game was a great example of it. I think we did the actual breakdown. The pictures we saw, Adams was man marking the goal scorer when the first pass was made. And then the second one, you man gone 5 yards away from. By the third picture, he was 15 yards ahead of him. Going, where's Adams? Just let him go because he's watching the ball. But it's something that's been better under Javi. It hasn't really happened as much under Javi. So maybe they've addressed it, but we need to be super. I mean, look, I'm being really honest. I don't think we get anything from the game against Liverpool. I think we lose.
Oh,
I just don't want us to lose heavily. I would like, if we're going to lose, the goal difference is still an important part of this, even though it's not great right now, but it's still better than a lot. And Leicester have Man City at the weekend, so there's a chance that their goal difference will get destroyed as well. So there's still a chance to get something out to come away with it. And all the teams on the bottom half of the table are playing somebody else in the top six, or each other. So again, there's an opportunity not to be dragged into it too much if things go our way. And then you've got the biggest 3 games this season after that. But we've got to be super structured and super organized. And you cannot have a player going off script against Liverpool that will just get picked apart. The system and heavy systems for the big teams only work until we concede, because they're designed to stop us from conceding. So the second the goal goes in, game plan's gone. And I think Javi said himself at the Palace game of when they scored, it changed the game plan. And that was the problem.
So do you make any plan until you get punched in the mouth?
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly it.
That quote is credited to Mike Tyson. I don't know if that's
I don't know if it's Tyson or not.
Could you give Tyson something that good? That was it. I mean, he would. That's good philosopher level stuff for Tyson, you know.
Yeah, he's a boxer. I mean, what can you do? Do you guys make any changes for this game? Do you? Who do you put? Who do you switch out? Let's start with Michael.
Yeah, good question. I mean, some of it's going to depend on injuries as well. You know, I don't know if I necessarily change out players as much as I changed formation. You know, I think maybe we put Aronson back in midfield a bit more. I think we really need to go with a 4-3-3. I think we need to have 3 men in the midfield, and I think we need a lot of energy there. So maybe that's something that you do, given that we're short of midfielders again. Or perhaps if they're ready, someone like Forshaw comes in potentially.
I'll tell you what, he would have been a healthy and fit and firing Adam Forshaw would have been interesting to come into that Palace game, just because he does some of those things we were talking about, at least with control. I'm not saying we win the game or we get a result. I'm just saying maybe the 4th or 5th goal might not go in.
Yeah,
because he controls it a little bit more.
I also I don't know. Bamford's driving me a bit wild right now. I don't know. His hold up play has been really, really good, but it really went to crap in the last game as well. Like, he didn't really do much of it. Stupid. He scored a great header, but after that he was completely useless. I was not super impressed with him. So I think maybe that's a change that needs to happen, or potentially maybe we have him and Rodrigo out there together, as both leading the line. If we're not going to go with the 4-3-3 shape, I don't know, but I think Bamford either needs some support, or he needs to sit down for a bit, and maybe Rodrigo needs to come back in if he's fit and able to do so. I mean, he's been our best goal scoring threat. Well, I guess we'll see if he's still able to do that following his time away, but I would say that that's probably a good route to go. He scores goals against big teams as well, Rodrigo. I mean, he's done Chelsea, he scored against Man City. So he's done well there against some bigger teams too. I don't think he's ever intimidated by the moment like that. He's probably too far experienced for that. I think Pat Bamford tends to get in his own head a little bit more potentially than Rodrigo does. So maybe that is one change that I would make. I would also, like I said, I think maybe of moving Aronson back a bit or taking him out for someone like Forshaw if they're available. I don't think I would put any of the kids in at this point. It's especially not after all. If we were on a roll, if we had won the last game and we're just gonna go free hit, sure, whatever. Maybe you might do that, but right now there's gonna be way too much pressure to put any of the kids in, I think. So I would go Sinistera still, Harrison as well. Look at the Aronson role, either move him back or replace him with somebody else, and then maybe looking at switch Bamford for Rodrigo.
Jared, what do you think? Any changes?
Yeah, I think you take Bill out just to take him out of the firing line. Yeah, and I'd start.
Yeah, but for who? Like, I mean,
not... who gets the armband?
That goes Rodrigo if he's starting, because I would start Rodrigo as well. I'm in agreement with Michael. I'm about done with Pat Bamford. Not because of his scoring ability, not because of his whole play. I'm tired of looking at his body language. I'm tired of the diving. I'm tired of the moaning. I'm tired of the whinging. I'm tired of the pointing fingers at other players. I'm tired of the fact that Jesse Marsh gave him a platform to be a figure in the dressing room, and now he just can't get off his pedestal. I'm starting to just things that Bamford is doing are just starting to irritate me. There was one we got a free kick for at the weekend, but there was a moment in the first half where he cut inside, lost the tackle. There was no contact made. He grabbed his shin and threw himself on the ground and rolled around for a bit. Leeds got the free kick, and people will say that everybody in the league is doing it, so why shouldn't Leeds do it? I don't like to see it at all. I don't like to see Leeds playing doing it. I wouldn't. If Bruno Fernandes was playing for Leeds, I'd want him out of the club because of his antics as a player on the park. And to see Paddy doing it on a consistent basis now is starting to irk me a little bit, to say the least. And I don't think his hold to play has been good enough recently, and I don't think his work rate's been what it was. I think he's standing around and pointing and waving his arms. If the ball doesn't come to him immediately, he's out of the game for a couple of seconds because he's doing this business and he's doing this, and the game is still going on, and Paddy's turned his back to the game because he wants to have a moan about something. And it's just I didn't read a huge amount into his post-match press conference, but when I saw Kate's review of it, going how nonchalant he was about getting beaten 5-1 at home to a team that's right beside you in the table, he should have been a bit more upset about it. I think I would have liked to see more passion from one of the captains of the club. So for me, I would like to see Bamford out and Rodrigo in. Because I think Rodrigo just in terms of goals, we're not going to have to hold the ball up against Liverpool. It's going to be counter-attack. It's going to be quick balls into the flanks and break, and then balls to the strike. I think it's probably similar to the Spurs game again. How Rodrigo got his goals against Spurs, will be breaks and balls in behind. He run after them. But I would take Ayling out and put Christensen in. I'd probably take Strauch out and put Cooper in, assuming Max Vober is not available for this game. But if he is, Vober comes back in for me straight away. I don't think you have an option in midfield. I think you have no choice but to go with McKennie and Rocket, and then maybe bring Forshaw in at some point during the game to freshen it up a little bit. If they're going with the 4-2-3-1, I'd like to see Willie Gnonto on the 10. Get him in the park. But again, his body language hasn't been great recently either. And then Cini and Jack. I've criticised Jack all season. I didn't have a massive problem with how Jack played against Palace. I know a lot of people were like, oh, look, Jack's back to normal Jack again. And I felt, and as I said earlier on, I felt we hamstrung him. We played the ball into him. We flooded the area that he was in with players. And it just made it impossible for him to do what he's good at and run at people one-on-one. So I keep them as they are. I'd make a point of getting the ball to Sinistera as much as we can, because we didn't at all against Palace. He barely saw the thing. So, outside that, I think there's probably 2 or 3 changes, and that's probably about it. I think the rest stays the same. There's an argument to go, do you stick Robles in at this point and maybe take Meslier out of the firing line? I don't blame Meslier for the goals. I see the point that everyone makes about him being at fault for some of the goals, or should have done better. There's the one that goes across him in the second half where Robin Koch is chasing back, and it goes across him. It's probably close enough to him that if he goes the right way, he saves it. But outside of that, I always look back and go, how many errors happened before that ball got to Meslier? And there's so many. I mean, he faces more shots than any other goalkeeper in the league, and he has massive games for us. Remember how good he was against Liverpool last time we played them? Remember how good he was against Manchester City when we played them? So for every bad game he has big, big games. So for as many points as we lose because of a mistake, he gains us points in other ways in other games. So I'd leave him where he is, but I would definitely change fullback, centre back, and striker.
Yeah, the thing about Melia, I think it's interesting that you say that. He's like, occasionally he is an issue, but rarely is he any more than the least of our issues.
He's so
like
far down the
even when he is a problem, it's like the least of our problems. It's like
he's the last problem.
Yeah, right.
He's the last one.
Exactly. And I don't know that there's any real solution to that. So at this point, and I don't think bringing Robles in or whatever. I there have been times, particularly during last year when last season rather, under at the sort of the tail end of Bielsa, when he was getting shelled and just giving up 4, 5, 6 whatever goals a game. And I publicly said, I wish we had someone that we could bring in for Meslier. I think he needs replacing. And that was not so much because he was doing anything extremely poorly, but more because he almost like give him a break, give him a chance to like get his head out of it, because it can't be good for someone, any goalkeeper, but particularly a young one, just to be getting shelled like that constantly. I mean, that can't be good for his confidence. He was, a lot of mistakes were starting to creep in as well, but I think that was exactly a result of him just being constantly in the firing line and under pressure. And it would have been nice to have an option at that point just to relieve some pressure from him, give him a game or two off, let him get his head clear, put him back in again, not for any reason other than just like, we're going to give you a little bit of a break. I mean, and maybe, I don't know, maybe that's something, Alex, you'll know this from hockey. Like, a goalkeeper gets hit for 4 or 5 goals in a game, they pull the goalie and put a new one in. That's just a standard thing. And it's not like it's a big deal. It's just what they do. You know what, man? You're having a tough
literal
game.
taking him out of the firing line.
You're having a tough game. You didn't shell. I'm going to take you up with the other guy in. Give you a break. It's fine. It doesn't mean that your place in the team is screwed for next time or whatever. It's this idea. And I know that's not normally what happens in football, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea. But at this point in time with Meslier, I mean, he's not getting shelled quite the same way he was back then. He's had one game that was like the last one where I think there's maybe a couple of goals that he could have done better on, but honestly, he's the least of my concerns.
Yeah, I agree. I don't necessarily take him out for this game, but if it's, I don't know, we're down 3-0 at half, maybe, I would do that. I don't think that's customary to do in football, but
I do agree with what you're saying though. If he had a better defense in front of him, and what I mean by defense is not the back four. I mean as a better defensive unit, as Leeds defending as a group of players. If they're better at their job, he doesn't face as many chances. And then you need the big one-on-one moments too. I mean, he'll save them. We just got to be better defending as a team.
Yeah, for sure. Yes, that is true.
Well, absolutely. And I think his recent comments to the media about maybe someone will come in for him, and he said, well, I'll have to sit down and really assess at the time and blah, 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 which is, I think, a very mature way of answering that question. But he knows how it wasn't, I'm a Leeds player, this is where I am right now, and I guess we'll see what happens. It was, I will have to sit down and consider what happens in the future. And I think that might be a little bit of a signal that he's sick and tired of getting shelled because the defense in front of him sucks.
Yep.
He doesn't want to be in that situation anymore either. I don't know if he's perfectly happy here anymore. And who can blame him?
I think he did say a lot will happen. A lot has to happen at Leeds before any of that's discussed. And he was talking about continuing his career at Leeds for a bit. So I don't think he was looking at saying, I'm leaving Leeds next year. I think he's looking going, I want to stay at Leeds. I want to see Leeds progress. And then maybe in 4 or 5 years when I get to my mid to late 20s and maybe look at moving to another club at that point. But
I wonder how that's going to play out if he continues to be in a situation where he has no defense in front of him.
Oh yeah, I know get round off his
career, right?
Yeah, you would. You'd be like, nah, to help this.
Yeah, I just don't want to do this anymore. This is you guys are not supporting me, so I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't blame him if that's the way he starts to feel, because frankly, we've been an embarrassment defensively for a long time. I mean, even when we were really good under Bielsa, we weren't defensively great.
We're terrible.
We're okay. But the last 2 seasons.
The only time where I was like really quite amazed was the second half of the bubble year. We would get 1-0s. We were having like clean sheets, and I don't know what that was really. I thought that the center backs were playing well. I thought, but
Stuart Dallas central midfield.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, he was a Swiss Army knife that year. I mean,
no fans in the stadiums.
No fans in the stadiums. Helped. I mean, they were but glorified practice. Somebody was saying that. Like it was
13 coaches or something that Bielsa had all standing on the sideline talking to every single player on the pitch. They were getting consistently coached from the sideline and they could be heard But the
Yeah.
fans
Yeah.
back at the stadium, you have to rely on the players to actually do it themselves, and they don't
They
see the
lose. Yeah, so that probably helped with concentration for 90 minutes.
I suspect so.
Yeah. Anyways, well, back to football with fans, which is great. But we've been in a relegation scrap for the past 2 years, so we'll see. I don't know. Hopefully the 49ers come in and kind of right the ship. I don't want to talk too much about the board. For me, changes I make, I take Patrick Bamford off, even though he does the number 9 things of leading the line and occupying center backs. Just want to see Rodrigo up there. And I think there is some toxicity. There has to be some toxicity. Something's going on. Something's rotten in Denmark, as my father used to say. Something's going on. That's to lose your heads quite like that. There must have been something that happened at halftime, and it kind of bubbled up towards the end of that second half, and then something happened in that locker room.
I did ask,
and then guys were just doing
that.
whatever they wanted. Go ahead.
No, sorry, you finished your point. Sorry.
Oh, you guys were just doing whatever they wanted.
Yeah, there's a lot of yeah.
So the thing that I showed you guys from Leeds News about basically the referees had leaked out from the referee that they were called into the dressing room at halftime because of an argument between Rocky McKennie and Ayling over a phone, which then became a tackle. Now, I asked Adam Pope, I've asked a couple of different people, I asked Miguel Delaney as well. I reached out to him and asked him, did they hear anything about this? And he said nothing, heard nothing. And then Adam Pope said they had heard something in the ground. And then he asked for clarification before he left, and they said it's not true. Someone's telling porkies. No, it didn't happen. So now there could still be a disagreement. Javi's comments after the game would lead me to think nothing happened, because he said, I just want to be close to my players right now, which sounded he wanted to get them all back together and kind of, dust it off, get on with it. So we heard this as well. The last time we had a really bad run, it was the players had gone to the board and asked for Jesse to be sacked, and that came out that time. So there's somebody in Leeds likes to shitstir a little bit, and I think there's a bit of that going on when things are really rock bottom. Then I think they look to this stuff teams to come out of the club. The way I said it, if it was true, it'll come out and it'll be Pat Bamford that tells everyone about it, because he's a tendency to. So
Leaky Pat.
Leaky Pat. Yeah. Well, yeah. I wonder. I don't know.
There are leaks, but I don't know if they're maybe with Pat. But
Pat does like to talk.
He does like to chat. Let's look at the remaining fixtures.
You have to.
Yeah.
Did you guys cover JKA already?
What's that?
You covered
JKL
Van Augustine already?
Oh, I don't.
What a cluster!
It's just it's like I think it'll definitely affect our budget.
Of course it will.
Unless it's space. I think they'll set.
These guys, look, these guys got to get sacked. I'm sorry. I hate to say it. I don't like to call for people's jobs. It's like, what? I'm just saying that there's just too many strikes against them for me. I like Orta. He's had some good signings. Rafinha, Gnonto, etc. We can pile up more than that, but there's been some decent signings, and then there's been some nightmares. And this JKA thing, I don't know who falls on it. Probably Orta. And then for me, obviously Radrizzani doesn't have the resources enough really to push on to the mid-table of the Premier League. And Angus is just, I mean, I think we called him an empty suit at one point, but he's the PR man, the marketing man. He does the budgets. Some of this stuff, just the silly stuff with to me, it goes back to the shambolic badge or rebrand they tried to do without really looking into the history, really doing a deep dive and seeing what the fans say and being so that was under him. And that, to me, that would, if I know he's not the marketing guy, but somebody had to probably get the sack for that. And so, and the stuff like putting up Osama bin Laden and the cutouts, how do you not know what's that?
It's quality control, isn't it?
People are just, maybe they're just
it's
things like that. It's just what are you guys? What's going on?
The Ellen Road trash thread. That was all over Twitter a couple weeks ago. Is just that should be Angus's stuff. He's like the chief executive. He's in charge of the business operations
or
of the club.
he doesn't have to be the guy going through the seats and all that stuff, but that means his team underneath him, somebody dropped the ball.
Surely there's
Like-
managers that there's a I don't want to use the word cleaning company, but there's a cleaning company that goes in and clean. They've got contract cleaners. Surely there's a manager there to have standards that they have to achieve. I mean, a mashed up pie on a wall for a year. You know,
I'm not saying the
So
poor
the chief executive needs to be saying, "Hey, look, we employ you to do this job for us. You're not doing it. Do it, or I'm pulling your contract." Like,
yeah, or it's like the poor bloke that like put it up, or that, you know, that does some of the stuff. Some of the, you know, they're just kind of the, you know, they're just trying to keep their nose clean, probably do a job, but, you know, nobody's, I don't know, something's off. Something's
like I've
off.
said before, the fish rots from the head, right?
Yes.
If you don't have good leadership, then you're not going to have good work throughout the organization.
I would say that's why Arta has kind of immunity, I suppose, in one sense, because every decision that he makes has to be signed off by Rads. Has to be.
These are the guys you would want to have, like Angus and Orta, or the guys that you would want to have underneath the guy. Like, they would be the good kind of like assistant manager type of stuff. Like, they would probably be good. They got a couple flaws, but maybe they're coachable. For whatever reason, Leeds United is a big club. We always say it's a big job, and it might be a little bit too big for them. And I think that 49ers will install some proper management, hopefully, going forward. Knock on wood.
There was some interesting news came out tonight. I'll cover it more in the morning, but because I've only looked at the top line, if I haven't done any digging into a property yet. But apparently, Radrizzani is looking at buying Inter Milan.
Saw that. Like $1 billion.
Yeah, but he needs Leeds to stay up, because he needs the extra funds that they'll get from the sale of Leeds to the Premier League. So he wouldn't be the sole owner, or whatever. He would be
partial leading a consortium.
Group are looking at buying Inter Milan. Yeah. He is as the lead investor in Acer. He is the Acer Capital. Yeah. So, but I would imagine he bring his team with him. I mean, part of me feels sorry for Angus Kinnear at times as well, because in no other club in England that I'm aware of does the chief executive officer write the program notes. That's usually done by the chairman and the manager. They're the two that write or where the chairman doesn't do it, it's the manager and the club captain that write their program notes. But yet, for some reason, Leeds have a chief executive officer. Maybe he's just not comfortable being in that position and fumbles over things. I've accused him of gaslighting in the past. Maybe he just finds himself in that position where he's like, I have to write this. I'm just going to write it as normally as I can.
It's his choice, right? He chooses to do it.
Yeah, he could say no. I'm sure he could say no. But at the same time, you're looking going, in the other clubs, it's just not done. Why is it done that way in Leeds? The director of football in Arta seems to have an awful lot more involvement in outside of just footballing stuff, even though that should be his remit. And in every other club, director of football's remit is to help the manager put the team together, and that's it essentially. And then you've got the owner who isn't there half the time, at the games, doesn't maybe staying away for a reason now because it's getting a bit volatile. But for me, it's Orta, and I have said before, I have no issue with Orta being a scout for Leeds, like a head scout or head of youth development, because he's got an eye for young talent. There's no doubt that Victor Orta can spot a young talent. He really can. Yeah. The problem I have with him is when he has to fix broken talents that he's had before, or has been somewhere else that he's, the John Kevin Augustans, the Junior Frepper, when he came in, it was like, oh, well, they were supposed to be great, and then they had a bad spell somewhere else, and we can help them. We can, get them for cheaper and make them better. And it doesn't always work, unfortunately. So I would imagine if Rads does go to Inter, I would be surprised if Orta doesn't go with him. But Orta's talking about going back to Sevilla possibly. But there is a massive change needed there from top to toe. I love the things I've read this week about Parag Marate's contract negotiation skills and what he's done for the 49ers in terms of managing the financial restrictions that are in the NFL. And he's rated very highly there as well. I've listened to Square Ball podcast today as well, and they talked a bit about it as well. So I'm really excited and looking forward to that coming into Leeds and seeing a bit more professionalism being run by an organization, not by a bloke, and we've had that for so long. It was Rads, then it was Cellino, then it was Bates. It's been a long time since Leeds have been owned by, I have been a company with people who are accountable for their jobs and their roles. And there's just, in any job in the world, if you waste £40 million, you're probably fired pretty quickly and probably sued as well for the club's loss of earnings. Whoever made this decision, I think we talked about the start of the season, we've talked about it before, and I've talked about it a year ago. whoever made the decision to try and wiggle their way out of that contract on a technicality is the problem for this, because they've decided that we're gonna breach contract. Yeah. And then once we accept the ruling of CAS on the fee to Red Bull, sorry, not to Red Bull, Red Bull,
RBO, yeah.
Then it comes straight to Augustine's table of, well, if CAS have said that they're in breach of contract, they're in breach of contract. If they've accepted it, that they're in breach of contract.
Correct.
But then clearly I'm entitled to loss of earnings because I was on 90 grand a week and I'm not earning 90 grand a week now. I'm earning 25 grand a week. So somewhere in the middle there is the difference. So I would imagine Leeds have appealed it because of course they have, but I would imagine it will go to CAS again, and it'll be, you still owe him money, but probably not 40 million, maybe 20, 10, 15 maybe. I think he'll negotiate a fee with Leeds down around 10, 15 million of a payout, and they'll structure it over a couple of years, I'm sure. But it's still an absolute PR disaster.
If you're JKA, I mean, you're
delighted.
A lucky boy, right?
You've seen your career go like this, and you're like, well, now get 25 million.
I'm still getting paid like a Premier League player.
Correct.
Yeah. 2.5 years of doing absolutely nothing. He's playing again now.
He's scoring as well
and earning a wage. So they'll be in contract law.
He's going to be
contract
paid Premier
law.
League
The damages will be the loss, the difference, right? It'll be the difference between what he should have been.
It
making.
should be. At the moment, it's not though. At the moment, it's the entire salary for the entire period of his contract. FIFA have said, which that'll be argued down to a realistic figure. Like,
it's an odd one because it should be the difference. It should be the difference because if everyone you have a responsibility in law to mitigate your damages. And he's done that now by going and getting himself employed again and making a wage again. So that mitigation should be taken into account in terms of the damages that we owe. But if we don't know for sure if the 24.5 million or whatever it was that they said was all just salary related, or if there are other damages in there as well, because there may be punitive damages included in that. There may be other general damages. So we know that special damages, that's his lost salary. That's one piece of it. But there are all kinds of other types of damages, including interest, pre and post judgment interest, all sorts of other things that could add up significantly when you're talking about big funds, big amount of funds that could be contributing to that. So we would need to get an actual breakdown of what it is that they've ordered to be paid and under what heads of damages those things exist.
The headline's has been total loss of potential earnings. So that would read as whatever was in the contract as earnings. Now they can argue a lot of that. They can say, well, Leeds didn't finish in the Champions League places, so you wouldn't have got that anyway, even if you had been there. They can argue that away. And as I said, they probably whittle it down to probably 10 or 15. 10, probably 10,
I imagine it's
4 years. But it's the big question for me is, who foots the bill at the end of this? Because the 49ers were on the minority shareholders, 4% at that point. They're not going to go, well, we'll pay that. They're going to be like, no, Rads, this happened on your watch. You did this. We didn't agree to this. This is on your watch. You're the chairman of the club. You made this decision, or if you didn't make the decision, at the very least you okayed it.
Well, that's so it won't be dispute, Jared, because they're probably going to have to sue him.
It's going to go for a couple of years, I'd say.
Yeah, the 49ers are going to have to pay it, and they're going to have to sue Rads.
That's
be a cross claim.
I get messy.
Or it's an agreement before the sale.
Well, I mean, if they negotiate it as, similar, I guess, to closing costs when you sell your house. Here's some liabilities related to, if bills come in for the utilities or whatever, then you'll cover those because they came in while you were still the owner before we closed on the sale. So, there may be some negotiation around that when they're putting the final, but I think Rads is going to try to get out of it. And I think the 49ers are going to have to sue him for it, frankly, but who knows?
Well, and they won't, the 49ers won't look over that, little clause or whatever, it's interesting, Michael. And I know you dabble in the law. So this was, go ahead, Jared.
I'm just reading comments and I want to say sorry to Leeds 1-2. You are allowed to disagree with me. I just disagree with you on this particular point, and you're entitled to your own opinion.
Was this the fullback?
This is the fullback, and I'm glad you stuck around and you didn't leave. So,
he was getting stuck in, Michael.
Gets stuck, and that's okay. Look, it's a debate. It's a debate about players, and we're gonna have these debates.
It's a fair question, but if it's the question of if we stay up, drama, then we put ourselves in a poor position.
I think he's already said from today. I think he's gone at the end of the season. I think he's already said it himself.
Cody Drama, yeah,
he's gone. So it is what it is.
I don't know what to make with him. I mean, he's doing very well in the championship, but he said 2 managers at this level say no thanks.
Yeah.
The question would have been for me would be, and then we're going back into drama again, but the question for me would have been if he had come back and gone to try and push, because this was probably going to be the best. I get nice because you said it was like, I apologize for that. I shouldn't have said you were lying. I disagreed with you. Apologies for that. The issue I have with drama would be if he did come back, and this is the best chance he would have had at a run at the right back position because it's been so frail in the last couple of months. There's a really good opportunity to step in and take that spot now because the fans are questioning Ayling, the fans have questioned Christensen. That hasn't happened before. Everyone said, well, Bill's the best right back we've got. You're second fiddle to him until Bill's not. Now Bill's not. So now there's an opportunity for Drama to step in and take that spot. And the fact that he hasn't done it up till now, you're like, okay, it's 2 managers. Jesse, you could argue whether you believe in his ability to manage or not. But if he came back and Javi then went, nah, you're not for me.
Yeah.
Then you're like, that's 3 managers. That means it's 3 of them. So
to me, it's like people are saying, get Drama. We shouldn't have sold him. And look, I mean, Jesse has faults for sure. We all kind of said Click could probably play a nice little role here at times in the 10 because we don't really have a 10. Right. But I don't know. I just think it's all about, well, how bad could he be? How bad could he be? How bad could he be? It's like, that's not the right way to throw a kid in and the player in. And yes, I went over the award, and the award was for half a season. And it was, to me, it was a recruiting tool that he got from Cardiff. And, I don't think that there's not talent in there, but I don't think that there is absolutely talent. But, if that's the question, then there's more questions I got. You know what I mean? Like,
go back a bit further. Like he didn't want to stick around at Fulham either. He wanted to go to Leeds because he thought he'd get into the Leeds team, and then he didn't get into the Leeds team, and then it was now he wants to get away from Leeds. So, I mean, by the time he gets to his next club, like he's been with 4 clubs in the meantime. Like he's bouncing around at 21 years of age. He's bouncing around clubs. His agent's probably half the problem, for being very honest about it. I mean, linking him with Newcastle and Dortmund in January was a silly thing to say because everyone just laughed at that, going, "No, you're not. You're not. You're not going to Dortmund and you're not going to Newcastle. Let's be honest about it. And if you do go there, you're not breaking into the first team straight away. But it's a natural thing to do when things are bad. You look around the squad for the answers to fix the problem. And when the answers aren't great, you look a bit deeper. And that's where Darko JB, Charlie Creswell, Joe Gelhardt, Sam Greenwood, Matteo Joseph, Sonny Perkins, and Cody Drama's names all pop up then. Whereas they would, well, give them a chance. And I'm never a believer in give the kids a chance because I don't believe anyone deserves a chance. I think you work for it in training and you work for it.
They earned it.
Games. You earn it at the Premier League. You don't hand it to you at this level. Giving them a chance in these games is a potential to be not only a disaster for the team, but a potential disaster for their careers because they could take a confidence hit at an age where it's a bit delicate. Where they're making it, that's a big deal to make your debut and play regularly in the first team. It's a big deal for young players to be smashed maybe in your first game. That's gonna, and then maybe drop the following game. That's a huge problem for young players, and that's got to be considered as well. There's a reason why you loan them out to a League One club and then to a Championship club, and you build them up slowly, gradually build up their ability to take stuff. And playing in front of 2,000 people in an under-21 game, great, you're getting used to it. Playing in Ellen Road in front of that crowd, yeah, you're getting used to Ellen Road. But then going down to, say, Millwall and playing in front of 20,000 angry Millwall fans who will get on your back if it's not going well, that's an education. That's where you learn that. That's where you learn it. Being thrown into Elland Road last weekend when the stadium was emptying and what was left was booing the team is not the right environment to bring a young player into the team. At that point, I would be going, I'm making no more changes today. Whatever's out there can stay out there. I'm not bringing the kids on. This is not the right time.
Whoever's out there can take their medicine.
And Correct. You can see how delicate it is with Gnonto. Gnonto's got bags of talent. I think he's going to be an incredible player, but
he's struggling with the pressure right now.
His nonverbals are like, he's a kid. He is a kid. He's not a professional, refined professional yet.
And nor should he be.
And nor should he be. Right. Correct.
When you expose them to this level of stuff and you make such a big deal out of Gnonto, the fans singing his name, and he wasn't ready for the Premier League, then comes in and hits the ground, look at some big goals in games, and you're going, now in his head, I'm a regular. And then the new manager comes in, goes, "You're 19. You're not going to play in every game. I'm going to dip you in and out when we need you. You play a couple from the start. You play a few from the bench." Same as Somerville. And what I do like about Somerville, and we were pretty critical of Somerville to start when he started to break into the Leeds team, about saying, "You've got to come in. You've got to do it. You can't come in and not play well. You've got to come in and play well if you want to have any chance of doing it." Somerville's worked his backside off to get into the Leeds team. And then some weeks he's on the bench, he doesn't play, he comes on. But he comes off the bench, he makes an impact in games. When he starts games, he tries to make an impact. His body language is positive. His work rate is there. He's a confident kid. Gnonto, I think there's a lot of pressure on him. I think he probably thinks he should be in the team. And when he's not in the team, I think he lets it affect him a little bit. Now, it's a very small sample size as well. It's only a couple of games.
He's had an incredible couple months here. I mean, but 19? Do you want to reflect on where we were at 19? You know what I mean? Like we're all in our 40s, very approaching I'm going to be 40 soon. You know, so yeah, I mean, like 19 years old. Me at 19, I mean, I don't know. I was different. So this kid is got the, you know, just think about your frontal the frontal cortex finishing at 19 is just not there. So, you know, I think
I don't think Gnonto has an attitude problem at all.
No, I don't think he does either. I'm just saying that
does let his emotions get the better of him on occasion.
Right.
And teenagers do that.
He has to be aware that there's cameras on him.
Yep. No, he does. He needs to. He needs to you know steady himself a bit more for sure.
When you get pushed at that age, he has to mature quickly now. Now he has no choice. He has to mature quickly.
And if he got 2 yellows and got sent off, that'd be terrible. That'd be so terrible.
He would have battled online for it as well because we're in a dogfight. And to be honest with you, it kind of looked like he was trying to get sent off. And that's what I looked at and went, I don't like this. And I saw Bamford stuff and went, are people trying to get out of this? Are people trying to go, well, I wasn't there when we went down. I was injured or I was suspended. You know, we saw Ayling last year make a very bad decision against Arsenal, which could have cost us as well. So we need people to keep their heads in this. We are not out of trouble here by a long, long way. We are, you know, depending on results. And the way I look at it is it's the Fulham, I don't want to get into the fixtures. It's the Fulham, Bournemouth and Leicester games. That's our season for me. Those 3 games are our season. So we've got to have players there for it.
Sorry, Alex. I know I maybe led us down the garden path there by changing topics. You wanted to look at the fixtures I had.
I know. I'm trying to pull it back up, but I'll just name it. Liverpool, quick turnaround to Fulham. It's Monday night Liverpool, and then at Fulham, down in London, and then Tuesday quick
game, or is that a Saturday game?
Saturday, April 22nd. Early game. So that'll be. I like those games here in America because it's like I get the game, nobody's up yet, and my weekends right. My weekend's either ruined or made by 10 o'clock in the morning, and then quick turnaround to Leicester, April 25th, and then Bournemouth. Let's just take those 4. Bournemouth, Leicester's at home, Bournemouth's away. So Liverpool at home. 30th, I think we need now. I think if we do have 8 cup finals, to me the only the only free hit is City, May 7th. I don't think we can really look at Liverpool like a free hit anymore, and even Newcastle. So I think we got to look to try to get something out of Liverpool. And I think we got a series. I think we probably got a win at Leicester City. So what do you guys think? How many points to stay up, I guess? And if you've done that calculation, if not, no worries. And then, I mean, to me, can we draw our way to safety? That's what I'm kind of starting to think.
No, if we got 8 draws, yeah, probably, but we're not going to. You know, I think we probably need about that many points to stay up. We're at 29 now. The 18th place club is 27, but they're behind us on goal difference by 15 goals. So that's almost like an extra point, right?
Yeah, it is.
Basically. So we're essentially 3 points ahead of the 18th place team. Hello, Ducky.
She's annoying me. He was scratching at my arm because she wants to sit up.
That's all right. Yeah. So, I think we probably are going to need we're at 29 now.
37? Did we say
36,
37?
37. Yeah, should keep us safe. I think based on how the other teams are doing. 36, 37. Yeah, something like that. But I wouldn't want to get less than that. That's for sure. So that's, 8 points, 7, 8 points.
I'm not far off you, Michael. I think 0 against Liverpool.
Yeah,
Probably a point against Fulham away.
we could do that.
That's 30. Leicester, I think we have to win at home. That'd be 33. Bournemouth away, we have to win that. That'd be 36. And then maybe a point against West Ham. Maybe get a point against Newcastle at home. And then that's brings you closer to 38 points, 37, 38 points.
30, yep. That's about right.
I think this could be actually decided by the teams that are already in the bottom three. I think they could relegate themselves before we have to do anything really with it. But the form guide suggests that Leeds win the next game because we are loss, win, loss, win, loss. Now Liverpool's up next.
We could beat Fulham as well.
We could.
They've dropped quite a bit since we played them last. They've been losing.
If you were to pick, look, it's a long shot, but if you were to pick up 9 points in those 3 games, Fulham, Leicester, Bournemouth, you're safe.
Safe. Yeah, I agree.
And that should be the goal, is to go out and get 9 points. You can't have that.
It's a particularly important because 2 of them are Leicester and Bournemouth below us. So that's critical. Those points are critical.
To me, yeah, I just think we need to get definitely Leicester. We have to beat Leicester. That's the main fixture for me now, and then we can try to, nick points. But I don't know. It's definitely squeaky bum time, as they say.
Yeah. Sorry about me speaking before, but Bournemouth are 1 point ahead of us. But the teams there around us are the ones we need to make sure that we keep below us. So if we can beat Bournemouth, then that would be great, because that would.
Who have Leicester got in the running?
Yeah.
This is what's terrible about the weekend, because we wouldn't really be looking at these fixtures.
They have Man City next, then they've Wolves at home, then they've Leeds, then they've Everton, then they've Fulham. Well, they could. So they're playing all the teams that are down there, pretty much, bar Newcastle and Liverpool. So they have
their run-ins almost like ours, actually.
It's very similar. Yeah, they've Liverpool, they've
Newcastle, West Ham, Liverpool,
Leicester, Man City. Yeah,
Man City. It's almost identical. They're only Wolves is the only difference. Wolves and Everton.
Only one. Yeah. But there's still teams that are down there with them. So where we have Bournemouth, they have Everton, but there's still teams that are in that bottom 6.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be how the teams do against the teams that are down there with them.
Yeah, we need 3 points.
We need 3 points.
We need 3 points. We need 3 points, and we really would be great to get a point this weekend. Would really be good. So I hope all the boys put in a shift. I hope that this is. I hope it's 9 cup finals, as they say. I hope it's that the heads haven't gone, and that last week was a one-off. And if the 3 that go down, right, everybody's kind of calling for Southampton. I think that's a fair shout.
There's a gap there now. If you look at it, from where we are to them, there's 2 results. There
starts to be
2 result gap. Yeah, so it's a draw and a win, or 2 wins. Sorry,
I think Everton. To me, Everton roster-wise should be down. I mean, their saving grace is really Sean Dyche. I would not be a fan of their roster. Nottingham Forest, I think, are in serious trouble. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, on the Everton one, I spoke to a couple of, at the very, very start of the season. I remember talking to a couple of Everton fans. One that I know, and I was like, you just bought Burnley players. You're destined yourself to be relegated just like them, because you just brought in Dwight McNeil and you brought in Tarkowski. But they're very much Sean Dyche kind of players. So I think Everton's squad is fighting, is battling. I think the performances, especially the game against Spurs, we're just going, just roll over and die. And they're like, nope, They wouldn't stop. And Bournemouth are the same. Bournemouth just won't go away.
Mhm.
When you think Bournemouth are down or in trouble, they come back with a result and they just keep fighting and keep digging and keep digging
Well,
and keep digging.
Bournemouth was when I dipped into a couple Bournemouth podcasts in Southampton. They were tickled like a couple weeks ago. They're like, I can't believe we're still in it. They're like, we could get a couple wins and we're out of it. And then they seem to be, yeah. Southampton not. They haven't really kicked on. Everton, I just think Dyche is comfortable, and they're that's their leader. He's doesn't let anything phase him. So Forest, I would be seriously worried about Forest. And then I think Leicester probably gets a new manager bounce, even though I don't really rate Dean Smith highly, but I think he can do enough. There's talent on that Leicester City side, right? I mean, they probably got
It should be.
right.
It should be. I mean, look at the run. Bournemouth probably have one of the easiest run-ins of all of us. I mean, they've got of top sides they have to play Spurs, Man United.
Yeah.
Outside of that, it's West Ham, Southampton, Leeds, but it's Chelsea as well, but they're a basket case. Then they've got Palace and Everton. So, I think Bournemouth will be fine. I think it's a dogfight now between us and what's in the bottom three. I think you could possibly see Wolves dragged into it again.
I think the current bottom five, it's between them probably.
Us Everton, the bottom three, yeah. I still think Everton will get a couple of results and then move away from
Bournemouth might come into that as well, but I don't know. I think West Ham, are they going to pull through?
I think it depends on I think it depends on what they're doing in Europe, because they've had bad results after every European game and they're still in the Conference League. So they're still that's another competition. Everton run-in's pretty handy as well. They've got Fulham, Palace, Newcastle, Leicester, Brighton. Then they got Man City, but then they got Wolves and Bournemouth to finish. The last two games are Bournemouth at home and Wolves away. So Everton I would say it's in Everton's hands to not get relegated. Like, it's same as it is in ours. It's in our hands as well. But you got to go win your results. But I think they've got a handier running than we have. Like their game they can win. They've 3 good home games there.
Yeah, and Fulham's a team that is beat. The only 2 beach teams really will be Chelsea, Fulham, and which didn't help us last week.
No.
Maybe Crystal Palace. So some London teams. Maybe Brentford. So I don't know. We'll see.
Forest running's tough.
Yeah.
Based on the next 2 games are home to Man United, away to Liverpool.
Yeah, Forest has got the hardest one, and they've stuck with their guns. They've stuck with their coach. So
Glenn Hayes in the comments has asked if it goes down to the last day like it did last time, does this team have the fortitude to do what the team did last year? I don't think they do.
No, I don't think they do either. I don't think it's necessarily even fortitude. I think it's just literally a case of your last game of the season is home to Tottenham, and we've blown it against Tottenham already this year. Yeah. And again, they've changed their manager, and
they've got stuff to play for.
Yeah, I think if we're not safe by the time we get to Manchester City, if we don't have a gap of at least 3 results, I think we're probably in trouble.
Yeah.
I'm not as confident this year as I was last year of staying up. I was very confident after January. I thought we had a good January transfer window. I thought we were in a good spot. And then it just again, very Leeds-like, and more so this year than other years. Oh, yeah.
And then we just kept Jesse far too long.
Probably far too long, yeah. But I can't be a hypocrite now. I was kind of backing him for a while as well. So let's talk about better things like this.
Let's talk about this kit. It looks like Adidas will continue, and even if we do go down, I know you had a nice little update on the sponsorships year.
It'll still be spoke up next year. It is the gambling ban has been approved, but it won't kick in at the end of the 24-25 season.
Okay.
And then it moves to the sleeve. So they can still put gambling on the sleeve, just not on the chest.
Yeah. So we can kind of Photoshop that sponsorship on there.
Our contract with them is up after this coming season anyway.
It's our last year with them. From what I've been, I had dinner with a guy who knew some stuff the weekend. And,
please get like a good premier sponsor. That would be nice.
Yeah. Is this your favorite kit so far, Jir? If this tend to be true.
Yeah, and I love, and I'm querying this. I love the little detail in the back of the collar. You're
Yeah.
complaining about this squared off round neck. What that will look like when it's on you is a very tight squared neck with a high back neck on it. They've
You
had
know
this
what?
back, and
It'll
it's
look like the one actually Michael's got on the
Yeah.
collar.
very
we've
similar.
s-
Yeah, very
Yeah.
similar.
Yeah.
Bit squarer, but if you
Does
look,
it
look
have
at
a
the
full
right hand
square
image,
in the
there,
new one
Alex,
that
and
comes
zoom
across?
in on the
Or-
top, right?
Yeah, similar to this.
That's the
Which is fine.
old 80s peacock badge that
That's
Leeds
not
had.
letting me do it.
So that's an
That's
old
nice.
badge. And
That's
I
nice.
wonder,
Yeah.
are we doing what we did with the shield that we have currently? Leeds slowly introduced the shield badge that we have currently. They put it on the match day suits originally, then they put it on corporate, then
Yeah.
they start putting it on tracksuits, and then they put it on the gear. And I wonder, are we getting to that as well? Because I think I like that badge, and I'd like a modern take on it, but it brings the peacock back. And I think it's something that the 49ers would be all over as well, because it's the proper mascot that actually ties in. Also, without giving too much information away, because I won't, because I said I wouldn't say a word. The guy that I spoke to said,
Exclusive.
he said they haven't seen that shirt.
Yeah.
And the
Okay.
two shirts that he has seen are not that shirt. So there is two away shirts. The peacock design is very heavily included in the second kit, which will be a navy blue kit. And then there's a third kit that I can't talk about. But he said
Very
that the pink and yellow one they don't know about, and it could just be a one-off shirt that is
With the city of culture.
or the
thing.
City of Culture. That
Yeah.
could even be this weekend, because there is celebrations in Leeds this weekend around the City of Culture. So
I'd
it could be
love
just
for them
weird.
I gotta go.
You gotta go.
I do.
All right. We'll probably end here, but thanks everybody for joining us. Yeah, I can't wait for that kit either. I wish they would leak stuff or
They used to wear them in the last game of the season. They used to wear the kit for the following
Right.
year, last game of the season. They haven't done it in a long time.
Arsenal's kit's already available on sale for Amazon and but anyways, I digress. Michael, thanks for joining me. Jir, thanks for joining me. And
guys.
bye-bye everybody. Talk to you soon and
Cheers, guys.
be well. Peace. Ollie tomorrow. If you're
See you guys.
interested, come on and see me. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.